Hello everybody, it's Janet and welcome to my craft room. Today I'm here for another collaboration from the Facebook group called Card Hoppin, a year of fun themes and techniques. This month in the hop we're going to show you techniques using glitter and gilding flakes. I chose to do gilding flakes, but as it turned out I'm using glitter too, so you get to see an idea using both of those products in today's card. There is at least one giveaway associated with this hop, so please look at the video description so that you know who it is that is giving away some goodies and where to go for that. But please visit everybody in this hop. There's so many great ideas that can inspire you in your own card making and give you some new ideas to try in your own craft room. So here's a quick look at the finished card I'm going to make. I've used gilding flakes and glitter, and I'm going to be using a double-sided adhesive technique with a stencil. So here are the supplies: white cardstock, double-sided adhesive. Mine is 3M, but you could use any brand. I've got a stitched die, and then I have an Altenew watercolor stripe stencil, which is one of my favorite stencils in my collection. And very importantly, this is a dryer sheet. It's the secret weapon when working with gilding flakes and glitter. I'll be using Nouveau Gilding Flakes, and this is in sun-kissed copper. It's really pretty. The first thing I'm going to do is peel off one side of that double-sided adhesive piece and apply it to the white cardstock. And this is what is going to serve as my background to my card. The excess I'm going to trim off, and then I'm going to use a bone folder to really press in that adhesive, get rid of any air bubbles, that sort of thing. You could use anything for this. A spatula would also work really great, a credit card, whatever. Anything that you could use to press it down with. And then I'm going to take my die and run that through my manual die cutting machine. Once that's done, I just peel away that second adhesive backing, and what I'm left with is this fully covered piece that is ready to work with using my gilding flakes and the glitter. I'm now going to take that dryer sheet and rub it over everything that I'm working with. So first over my glass mat, then this is the piece of paper I'm going to use to catch the excess gilding flakes, and then later the excess glitter. I'm going to rub the stencil off on both sides just to make sure we can get as much of that static off as possible. I even rub it on my hands, and I will take off my ring and do everything I can to eliminate any static electricity. This will really make a big difference in working with the gilding flakes since they are so attracted to static electricity. So here I'm just attaching that with a piece of washi tape to my background piece that I'm working on. This will keep it from moving it around. And then I'm going to place the stencil over the top of that. I'm going to press down where the stencil portion is so that it stays put as well. And now I'm going to rub that jar. I'm going to rub my hands. I'm even going to take off my ring because I do not want to get that stuff stuck to anything. And now I can open up this jar finally and start working with the gilding flakes. Now this really helps what I've done with that dryer sheet to work with these gilding flakes. It's not nearly as messy as it would normally be. And this is pretty messy stuff, I will tell you. If you don't like mess and you don't like glitter, you are going to hate gilding flakes because they go everywhere. They break into tiny little pieces. They stick to everything. So it's really key if you want to get this look and work with the gilding flakes. You just need to be patient and use your dryer sheet to get everything as static free as possible and just work from there. So I broke up the pieces that I needed and I'm rubbing this into the adhesive, and it's great because that adhesive really holds the gilding flakes. And once it's attached to the adhesive, then it's really just a matter of rubbing it in and across with your fingertips. Later you'll see me use that dryer sheet again to further burnish that gilding flake area. It is really quite beautiful when it's done, and you'd never really guess that they were a bunch of flakes when you started. That's kind of the cool thing about gilding flakes, I think. So after I initially got it all attached, I'm going to push away all the excess, or at least most of it, and then I'll end up putting that back in my pot. And I'll just take that sheet and, let them kind of dump into my jar. This is a nice big wide mouth jar, so it's pretty easy to do that. And I will continue to do this, burnishing again, then taking off excess until I get to the point where I'm pretty much ready to add the glitter. And that's where I'm at here. I've really burnished this. I'm polishing it with the dryer sheet. And it's really ready at this point to have me just take that stencil away. And you'll just see some more of my cleaning activity here. I just want to make it abundantly clear that it will be much easier to work with as if you continue to clean up as you go. And now I'm going to pull away the stencil, and unfortunately the stencil is taking away not only some of the adhesive but some of the cardstock too. And most of it I was able to save by pushing it back down, but there were two places in particular where it tore off the paper. But I'm determined to go forth and see what I can do with this. And I'm happy to report that I ended up being able to save it. But what I envisioned and what I got was a bit different. I thought that I would end up with a nice dark, well, not dark maybe, but a bold stripe of this green color. But it is very fine glitter, and just a fine coat, attaches to that adhesive that is left exposed, and it was actually quite light. So I wasn't as thrilled with that, but then also I had problems with those couple of areas where it had torn away the paper, and there's just no way to avoid hiding that. As you can see, it just, of course, isn't going to stick there. So I attempted to cover my tracks here by adding a little bit of wet adhesive and then applying glitter over that. Well, that did work, but that area where I put the glitter with the glue was darker because more of the glitter could stick there. So to compensate for that and the fact that I did like the darker green a bit better, is I used my glitter glue and put strips of it down that green glitter strip and added more of the glitter, and it made it kind of give it a shabby chic sort of look. I don't have any video, unfortunately, of me doing that, but all I did was apply the glue down the stripes and apply the glitter over the top. You'll see that in the end again, how that looks. So here I'm going to show you how I made each of the main elements of the wreath, and I'm using Copic markers, of course. The darkest color here with the big flowers is B06. I'm going to use that for my shading. Then I'm going to fill in with my midtone, which is B04. And then finally my highlight is B01. And I will touch this up a couple times, and it gets me this pretty blue flower. I was going for like a blue morning glory look, and I think it turned out pretty well. Next, I'll show you one type of the greenery that I colored up. This is kind of these broad leaves that to me look like eucalyptus, and I'm using BG78 on this for the shadow, and I'm using G28 as the main color. I did not have a highlight in this particular leaf. It's just too small, and the light color is fairly light, so I didn't feel I really needed necessarily a highlight in this case. For the long stem branches with the narrow leaves, I'm using G28 as my shadow, G24 for the mid-tone, and G21 for the highlight. Really simple, quick, and easy to do that branch. Then I'm going to use YG67 for the berries, and then I'm going to show you how I colored up the little blossoms. These are using again B04 and B01, leaving out the B06 in this case that I used in the bigger flower. And for the stem of that, I'm going to use G24, and also I'm going to put in a little bit of YG67, and then finally a little bit of G24 again. And I will do the entire wreath this way, and I added also some dots in there just to fill in some of the white spots. Then I'm going to trim around the outside of it fairly close to all the leaves. I will use a craft knife to kind of narrow out the center part of the wreath, and then I'll take my craft scissors and release that in areas where I didn't quite cut through. And then you'll see also that I used the scissors once the main piece was out to further trim around the shapes there in the center to get them a little more close to the edge, similarly as I did to the outside of the wreath. Now these are double-sided foam tapes, as you can see, and I'm going to get that prepped so I can put it right onto my card base. And now you can see how that glitter turned out. It's a very shabby chic look, I think, and it actually turned out to be pretty decent. This I'm going to put on top of a black and white polka dot card base. I thought that the black and the white would tone it down a little bit, and it did. It also gives it more of a country feel to it, I think. And so I did like all of that combination, even though I did have no idea what I was going to be using for my card base when I started this project. This is a thank you sentiment that I heat embossed with green and place that directly onto the wreath. The finishing touch here are going to be blue pearls that I'm going to apply from the bottom right and cascading all the way up to the top left, and it finishes off my card nicely. So thanks for joining me here today for the Card Hoppin collaboration this month. I hope you enjoy seeing the use of Gilding Flakes, and you'll come back next month to see what's going on. We'll have another great project for you. Take care, and I'll see you soon. Bye.